So when a brand comes to you, what problems are they really trying to solve?
They need to sell. That's it. They need to sell. They need someone that's going to make the money scale. So I've helped a lot of companies, a lot of brands, whether they're unknown indies or,
Right.
major. And then I work across all verticals. So I've done content for everything from automobiles, HelloFresh, DraftKings, Candy Crush. I mean, you name it. Black Lane Limousine, travel, leisure, wellness, mother things, home cooking, all kinds of things, fashion.
So what's the difference between someone who performs for the camera and someone who connects through it?
So I always say when the topic comes up, I always say, when we're talking about movies and acting, and if somebody's like asking me like questions about acting and what do I do and whatever. So I just say, this is what I say to them because I feel like it just sums it up. Who's your favorite? Let's take a guy. Like, who's your favorite actor?
I like
You're gonna
Christian Bale.
Okay. What you're seeing in some type of interpretation is, and what you're loving in essence is the personality, but you're seeing his personality, and he is, and this is differentiates an A-lister from anybody else that you're seeing and watching and off Broadway or wherever. He's really working with Christian Bale, the essence of Christian Bale, and on many different levels, and with depending upon what character he's playing. But at the end of the day, that's where he's starting and that's where he's ending. And that's where highly trained professionals are. That's why they succeed. It's not an easy thing to do. That's what I'm working on. And that's my training is I'm working on personality, my personality, and how I can become better. Very specific areas, very specific. I think you get it.
Have you ever faced a moment that changed everything? A loss, a new path, or an awakening that forced you to rewrite your life? Pivot Point is a podcast that explores those stories. I'm Nik Michael. We'll dive into how pain can spark growth and how crisis leads to clarity. Subscribe to Pivot Point today.
Welcome to Pivot Point Strategy for Change. I'm Nik Michael. There is a particular kind of courage that doesn't get talked about enough. Not the courage of starting something from nothing. We celebrate that all the time. The courage I'm thinking about is quieter and, I would argue, harder. It's the courage to look at everything you've built, everything you've trained for, everything you've sacrificed to become good at, and ask yourself whether the world you built it for still exists. That question doesn't come with a clean answer. It comes with discomfort. It comes with doubt. And for most people, it comes at a moment they didn't choose. When the industry shifts, when the path narrows, when the room you've been trying to get into for years suddenly doesn't look the way you thought it would from the outside. My guest today is Stacy Kessler. Stacy knows that moment very well. She's lived it, and what she did with it is the reason we're having this conversation. Stacy spent decades doing what most people only dream of: off-Broadway stages, network television, national campaigns with some of the most recognized brands in the country: Capital One, Verizon, Lancome, Mercedes-Benz. She's appeared on NBC, the Discovery Network. She built the kind of career that looks, from the outside, like the goal. And then she did something most people in that position don't do. She kept going, not by chasing more of the same, but by asking a harder question. What is this actually preparing me for? The answer she found is what makes this episode worth your time. Because what Stacy discovered is that the skills she spent a lifetime building, presence, timing, the ability to make something feel real rather than perform, to make an audience believe rather than just watch. Those aren't just entertainment skills, they're human skills. And right now, in a world where brands are drowning in content and starving for connection, those are exactly the skills the market is asking for. She didn't pivot away from her craft, she translated it. And that distinction matters more than it might seem, because translation is not the same as reinvention. Reinvention asks you to become someone new. Translation asks you to finally understand who you already are and trust that it's enough. There's something else about Stacy that I want you to hear before we get into the conversation, because I think it's the piece most people miss when they try to understand why some pivots work and most don't. Throughout her entire career, not just at the beginning, not just when she was figuring things out, she has worked consistently with an acting coach every week, one-on-one. She has never stopped training, and she'll tell you this is not incidental. It's the engine. It's the discipline beneath the visibility. It's the thing nobody sees that makes everything people do see possible. That's what we're going to talk about today. Not just what Stacy has done, but how she thinks, what she understands about human attention that most marketers are still trying to figure out, what it actually takes to create content that connects rather than content that simply exists, and what the pivot looked like from the inside, not the polished version, but the real one. This is Pivot Point Strategy for Change. I'm Nik Michael. Stacy, welcome. So nice to have you here on Pivot Point Strategy for Change.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
It's great. As you know, thank you. As you know, our lives are shaped by a series of pivot points, moments that we can turn and return to and reflect on from different angles over time. But today, I'd like to focus on one that stands out for you. Can you take us back to a defining pivot point in your life, the moment, the decision, or realization that fundamentally shifted your direction and changed everything?
I mean, I thought it was a series of moments because your introduction was great. It summed it all up. I don't really even need to say much more,
No.
but that's exactly kind of what happened. I mean, honestly, it kind of happened without me making it happen. So here I am auditioning even more and more for roles, in TV, film. Everything's turned to streaming these days. So, I mean, whatever modality you want to refer to it as. But, myself, I identify myself as an actor, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy film and TV and landing those kind of roles. But as we all know, there's been a lot of shifts and changes in that space. And due to the shifts and changes, it was my auditions, the projects, the entire landscape shifted, and there was less. It just seems like there's less happening in that space. And what happened was the UGC, the user generated content, totally sped above any opportunities. So the increasing chances and potential for me to do more commercial work totally left any opportunities, or not any, but minimized the opportunities for film and television. And it's not like I'm not doing anything differently as far as my reach to secure roles, but really, I don't look at it any differently, which is all part of my training. So there is objectively a pivot, 100%. But internally and subjectively, I'm doing the exact same thing.
I'm so glad you put it that way. I ask everyone this. Did your pivot feel like a loss, a relief, or some complicated mix of both or something else? Tell us a little bit about...
It was an evolution.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a total evolutionary process. It's still in evolutionary mode, and it's really always going to be evolving.
So tell us about the work you're doing now. When you approach a piece of branded content before you're even on camera, what's the first question you ask yourself?
Okay. It's like, how am I going to,
Right.
how can I, it's all very subconscious because I'm very product oriented. I'm a very consumer oriented. I had my own brand that I created and developed, merchandise, marketed, and sold, a vegan leather accessory brand, sustainable brand. I I've always evolved on both sides, and I'm very much on the consumer side. I'm very aware of consumerism. So it's not like a methodical thought process. That's the person I am. Like, I am a perfect consumer. And as a consumer, I actually have all these connections, and I identify a connect, and I just kind of read it. And even if hypothetically, and this is where the training comes in, the acting training, the coaching, if I hate it, whatever about it that I hate, I just imagine, well, if I would love it, like if I would love it, as if. So that's how all the acting comes in. It might be difficult to understand, and if you need me to flesh it out, I will. But
What does a successful piece of UGC look like to you? Not necessarily in creative terms, but in, let's say, in
yeah,
results.
they want real, authentic. And it seems like a lot of people can't do what I do. So I'm able to nail it, that real, authentic delivery, whatever the product.
I know authentic is a word that gets used constantly right now. Everyone wants it, everyone claims it. What does authentic actually mean to you in practice? What does it look like when it's missing? What does it look like?
Well, for me, because I've been doing this so long, whether it's a year or two or whatever, like consistently, like on the daily, I don't work at being authentic. And that's all part of my training. So before I hit go, I'm already there. I'm authentic. I understand what the ask is, and I'm already giving the ask. I'm already prepared to give the ask before anybody hits go. But that's the only way that it works, how anything in life works, because I know that's part of my training, and that's how it's done.
Was there a moment where you stopped seeing yourself strictly as an actor and then started seeing yourself as a business or as an asset to a business?
Undergraduate trainings in English literature, and then my graduate training is in business. So I have an MBA, and I also have a communication degree, a master's in communications.
I heard you went to one of the most highly regarded, nationally known, renowned universities here in New York, Fordham University.
I graduated MBA from Fordham.
So did I, but in social work, in clinical social work. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to highlight Fordham, of course.
I've got Fordham under my belt, and I have been using everything that I gained from that experience my entire life. Like, I don't push it, but it's an integral part of who I am.
Right.
Also, because I was raised in a very business-oriented environment. It was mostly business, the environment I was raised in as a child. So I had that, that training, and then I have the formal training. And yeah, it's a perfect marriage between the artist and the businesswoman. I'd like to think so. I mean, yes. So I'm happily married in my relationship with my MBA and my artistic self.
So tell us a little bit, for someone who's in that in-between space right now, who knows something needs to change but can't quite name it yet, what would you say to them?
For anything in their life
for
or
anything.
related?
Yeah, for anything, yeah.
Well, identifying that is important. I've been in that place, and it is very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. So when you have built something, it's hard to let go, no matter who you are and what you do. I mean, some people have more attachment issues than others, but you got to let go. You got to say goodbye. But before you do, come up with plan A, B, C, alternate plans.
How does your training in what you've done separate you from what most marketers are looking for?
What you're saying is, what do I have
Yes.
that other creators don't have?
Yes.
I think that's what you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
Honestly, don't know what percentage of actors even do what I'm doing. I really don't. And I don't think it's very high. Honestly, I think it's a very, very, very small percentage. And what I'm bringing is all that training that I highlighted and other skill sets to just like answer the ask. That's what I need, to answer the ask. But this is also the business part that comes in. So you have a lot of different things in play. You have my acting, my training, my MBA that where it's like answer the ask, deliver the goods, and then that communications, which actually, it does help in combination with the acting training. It's like a whole finessing.
Right there with you. But it sounds like you're the type that when you can assess what needs to be done, you figure it out rather quickly and you implement a plan and an action plan to get this done. How did your background and training in both your MBA and your undergrad, because you have a very unique path that you took to be where you are now, did it change how you understood your value?
I think this question is twofold.
Tell me.
When did it change?
Yes.
How did
And
it
how?
change?
Yes.
And what happened? So I know this is going to sound totally crazy, but when you build a website, it's like you're always like, it's coming, it will be done in a week.
Yes.
And it's just like, it's like 6 months later and it feels like a whole lifetime. And that's what I just did. So make sure you check it out, stacykessler.com. No E in Stacy. Check out stacykessler.com because it was that day when my website went live that I was like, I almost like didn't recognize myself. I'm like, who is that? And that day when, in particular, when you go to stacykessler.com, I mean, you can always contact me through the contact form and I always respond. You can follow me on all the social media. But if you go to the main page after you see my little intro video and you just scroll down or it appears right there, but on the bottom is my banner and there's like 1,000 partnerships that I've had. I mean, I just honestly didn't realize it. It was like, what? Like who did that?
You
So I'm
surprise
proud of it.
yourself. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
You
I'm
should be
proud.
very proud. You said something that really stood out for me. You've worked with an acting coach consistently week after week throughout your entire career. Most people assume that once you're established that the training stops. Why hasn't it stopped for you?
No, it's never going to stop. It's my life.
So tell us more about how you view that, because I think that's one of the separating factors that has made you so unique and very successful.
I believe so. I believe so. I mean, and it's an ongoing job. I mean, it's work. It's literally a full-time job. So we work on personality primarily, although there's many other facets and dimensions to working. It's also a very unique situation because it's a particular coach. So I wouldn't say that there's any other coach out there like it. So it was just kind of like hitting a gold mine. And
Nice.
yeah. And I mean, it's a whole growing experience and it's consistently working at specific things unique to me, each individual. It's a coach that works with humans on all levels, not just actors. I mean, he works across all dimensions, all occupations. There isn't a limit. It's predominantly geared towards acting. Listen, what's the expression from Shakespeare? All the world's a stage
Stage.
and we're all actors on it. Like it's just life. This is life.
So what does that work actually look like today? When you walk into that room each week, what are you working on and how does it translate into the work that you're doing with brands?
Well, okay. So whether it's a brand, whether I'm working with you, whether I get a huge opportunity with a Hollywood producer, like to me, there is no differentiation. It's my work ethic, what I have to give and what I can deliver for the deal, whatever the deal is. But, if you asked me 10 years ago, I wouldn't be able to articulate that and I wouldn't be able to do it. And I wouldn't have the wherewithal on how to do it and how to execute. So it doesn't matter what it is. I go in there. If it's a job, if it's something, there's expectations of me. I would like to exceed all expectation.
You're listening to Pivot Point Strategy for Change. If today's conversation resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. It truly helps others find the show and supports the work we're doing here. You can find Pivot Point Strategy for Change on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you'd like a deeper dive into the work we explore on the show, I invite you to visit my Substack page where I share in-depth articles and reflections. So you've called the ongoing coaching the missing ingredient in how most people understand performance. What does that consistency give you that you couldn't get any other way?
It's the type of training that I'm getting. There's millions of coaches in all walks of life. I just got lucky. So I got lucky because I found somebody that is literally has taken me through an entire process of personality development, career, which translates to career development, which translates to overall a better life and on all areas, on all points.
So, do you feel a difference in the work that you're doing when you're actively training versus when you're not? And how does that,
I'm always
you're
training
always
every
training,
single
so
day, every day.
how does that show up on the camera, especially when you're doing, short form content? I'm curious. How does that impact you in the work that you're doing?
I'm a professional and I know I can deliver the goods. So it's a lot of pressure, whether it's a short film that I just did in Brooklyn and I'm the brand ambassador and, non-union situation, and I'm not really getting paid, or I'm getting $2,000 for a brand deal to create content. I don't treat anything any differently because it's my work, it's my name, but I'm also representing my entire community of everybody else who I work with my acting coach and everybody else who's hired me. So I have a high standard that I need to make sure I maintain across the board. And I don't want to ever let anybody down. I want to exceed all expectations.
I hear that it certainly shows that you have a high level of integrity and persistence and a passion to keep the work going and the work that you have yourself, and you're true to yourself. So what's the difference between someone who performs for the camera and someone who connects through it?
So I always say when the topic comes up, I always say, when we're talking about movies and acting, and if somebody's like asking me like questions about acting and what do I do and whatever. So I just say, this is what I say to them because I feel like it just sums it up. Who's your favorite? Let's take a guy. Like, who's your favorite actor?
I like
You're gonna,
Christian Bale.
okay. What you're seeing in some type of interpretation is, and what you're loving in essence is the personality. I haven't yet met Christian Bale. Okay. But you're seeing his personality and and this is differentiates an A-lister from anybody else that you're seeing and watching and off Broadway or wherever. He's really working with Christian Bale, the essence of Christian Bale, and on many different levels and with depending upon what character he's playing. But at the end of the day, that's where he's starting and that's where he's ending. And that's where highly trained professionals are. That's why they succeed. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy, but that's what I work on. That's what I'm working on. And that's my training is I'm working on my personality and how I can become better. Very specific areas, very specific, you know, but I think you get it.
No, I hear you. So when a brand comes to you, what problems are they really trying to solve?
They need to sell. That's it. They need to sell. They need someone that's going to make the money scale. So I've helped a lot of companies, a lot of brands, whether they're unknown indies or,
Right.
major.
So is there a common thread in the brands that are the best fit for you?
Well, I've been doing a lot of beauty content, like anti-aging.
Hmm.
That's like one of the biggest areas, right? And has been, is, and will be. So I do a lot. I mean, I do other things, but just a lot of foundation, primarily foundation. I have good skin. I take care of myself. So, it reads well on camera. That's the number one area. And then I work across all verticals. So I've done content for everything from automobiles, HelloFresh, DraftKings, Candy Crush. I mean, you name it, Black Lane Limousine, travel, leisure, wellness, mother things, home cooking, all kinds of things, fashion.
So what separates brands that understand how to use someone like you from the ones that don't?
I mean, there's so many different ways for people to get content created. So some go through the top ad agencies, some go through PR, some go through, digital media agent. I mean, it's just such a huge market. I walked into my local digital media marketing firm right here, in Flatiron, and the new creative director, he was like, he wanted to meet me, and we shook hands, and I was so excited to meet him. He said to me, Stacy, I need you to help me how to find more people like you.
Hmm.
And I cracked a joke, and I'm like, well, I don't know how easy that's going to be. And he
So,
laughed, and and we never spoke about it again.
so what do you wish more people understood about UGC and branded storytelling that they tend to get wrong?
I mean, it's kind of like either you got it or you don't. I just think it's like it's all about it's that 10 seconds. It's all in that 10 seconds. I mean, if you got it or you don't. I mean, if you can deliver the goods, you're in. But there's only certain people that can do that really well.
And when someone is getting something wrong, what do you notice first? Is there anything that's glaring that stands out?
Well, I mean, I do podcasts and everything with other, yeah, yeah. So your question is, what are they doing? I mean, they're fake. They're not able to deliver
Mm.
authentically. It's not performative. We're not doing, Broadway or off Broadway. It's not performative. There's nothing performative. But in real acting, like really good acting, it's not performative. Christian Bale is not performative.
Where do you see this space going over the next few years? And
We're blowing up right now.
yeah,
I mean, it's like
I
the
was,
number one, like it's like the largest growing industry like in the world right now.
and
So I'm really excited about that.
how are you positioning yourself within it?
I created a team right now. I created a team and building it and just onboarding to some very, very important partnerships. I'm onboarding with some very important players
Sounds very exciting.
right
So,
now.
for someone who has creative skills, performance, communication, presence, but hasn't figured out how to make them marketable, where do they start? What's the first honest question they need to ask themselves?
You mean somebody who wants to become a UGC
Yeah,
creator?
yeah.
Well, here
Yeah, let's go right there.
the $1 million value I can give you, all of you, is Pillar Creative. Pillar Creative.
Okay.
That's pretty much your answer right there. It's an app and there's a code, so you should probably contact me on my contact page on stacykessler.com, and I will promise I will communicate with you and I will help you on board.
So I appreciate hearing that. And I know listeners will love to hear that. What's one way someone can begin translating what they already know how to do into something the market will pay for?
Pillar Creative, trust me.
How do you know when a skill that you've built is transferable versus when it's tied to a specific
When you
industry?
start making money.
So if you had to describe what you do in one honest sentence, not a pitch, just the truth, what would you say?
If I had to describe what I do as a creator, it's just authentic. It's just authentic. Yeah.
So over the years, the training you've had, the experience you've had, how do you translate your performance skills into business outcomes, into something a brand can actually measure?
There's metrics that are out there and available with all your content that's out there. And it's a very key indicator in growing your brand as a creator. It's an essential item.
So in your experience, what actually makes someone stop scrolling, not clickbait, but real engagement? What makes someone
I mean, a pretty face with a mind behind it.
is there any way that you approach it differently, the audience, as compared to a traditional, a typical marketer might?
Well, right now that is what marketing is. Back a few years ago, or that isn't what marketing was, but that's what marketing is. It's just authentic delivery.
Is there anything else that you find in the work that you're doing that has been challenging that you never thought you were able to accomplish, but you were able to do it? And how did that turn out? What made it work for you?
Just keep on going. I just keep on working on my personality day
Mm.
in and day out. Just keep on working. Full-time job, full commitment.
Are there any specific kinds of people out there that work with you who are looking for a style or a specific type of approach to the work that you're doing that separates you from others?
I think I've got all the ingredients. I've got what it takes to do this.
Mm.
I have all the ingredients all curated like a recipe. It's kind of like I'm exactly what they're looking for across a lot of verticals. Yeah, so I'm lucky. I mean, stuff that I've worked on, DNA, genetics, and all this work that I put in, all wrapped up in one.
That's wonderful. Is there anyone out there that you want to give a shout out to or compliment any of the things that you've done over the years?
Props to David Vadim, the coach, and pushing Pillar Creative, Jack Davidson.
Anything about your own personal experience that would be valuable for others to hear that you'd like to share?
But just say, listen, you know, passion is important. You got to do what you love. The proof is in the pudding. And I would say just don't give up. I mean, just keep on at it. It's got to eventually, you're going to see success. Just don't give up.
Well said. I'm always very impressed with that. So I want now to thank you for joining us here on Pivot Point Strategy for Change. I want to sit with something that you said for a moment before we close, because I think it deserves more than just a passing reference. The idea that ongoing coaching, consistent, disciplined, weekly investment in your craft.
Right coach.
The right
just
coach.
Like everything in life, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be the right people. Surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with successful people.
So the right coach, and of course, surrounding yourself with successful people, professionals in the field. That's not how most people think about it, but most people see training as something you do until you're good enough to stop. But
You're never good enough.
Yeah. But you've spent an entire career proving the opposite, that the people who are training are the ones who keep working. And that discipline isn't something you graduate from. It's what keeps you from drifting back into who you used to be, let's say. So
100%.
Yes. And I find that genuinely instructive, not because coaching is the answer for everyone, but because what you've done in describing the relationship that you've enabled to establish over time, it provides the level of training and keeps you accountable and keeps you on top of your work and in your craft. It's one thing that has made a major difference for you, and I just want to highlight that. Yeah.
Oh, that was perfect.
What struck
Couldn't
me
have said it better.
So what struck me most about what we've talked about here is that the pivot that you made from traditional performance into brand storytelling and UGC work wasn't really a departure. It was really a recognition, a moment of seeing clearly what you had been building all along and understanding that it had value in a context that you hadn't really considered yet until you finally made that leap. The craft didn't change, the application did. And I think that's the pivot point I want to leave listeners with, because a lot of us carry skills that we've been applying in one direction for so long that we've stopped seeing them clearly. We've stopped asking whether they could do something else, reach for something else, solve something else. It could mean something else in a context that you haven't tried yet. But your story is really, it's not a blueprint that anyone can copy, but your path is unique and it's yours. But the principle underneath it, the translation, is more powerful than reinvention.
Exactly.
That's what you've been able to build, which is remarkable. So I want to compliment the work that you've been doing and in applying it. And so the pivot isn't always about becoming something new, but really about finally trusting what you already are, and that belongs to you, and that you're willing honestly to look at and dive deeper into becoming the more authentic self that you are, which is amazing. So for those listening, if something in this conversation landed for you, take a moment and turn inward rather than back to the interview. Think about a point in your own life, not in your resume, not your achievements, but a specific moment, a moment where something no longer fit, where staying the same started to feel more uncomfortable than changing. Maybe it was subtle, or maybe it hit all at once, but it was the point where you stopped waiting for clarity, permission, or perfect timing and began to move away where something underneath you shifted and insisted, and instead of resisting it, you leaned into it. That's where every pivot point actually begins, not with a fully formed plan, but with a clear recognition that something has to be different and a willingness to respond to that truth. To learn more about Stacy's work, and if you're a brand looking for someone who understands how to create content that actually connects, you'll find everything in the show notes. This has been Pivot Point, Strategy for Change. I'm Nik Michael. Stacy, once again, I want to thank you for joining us here. I appreciate your time and the effort that you're providing and giving to your brand and to everyone here listening. So thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you again. And as always, I leave everyone with the one question I like to leave. Think about it. What's your pivot point? What's your pivot point?